Welcome back, everybody, to the Fatherhood Experience Barbershop Talk. Obviously, we are in a virtual setting. My name is Dr. D, CEO and founder of Dad's Doing It. I want to first say thank you to my man Iz for coordinating this and staying on top of the episodes. I also want to thank my man Junior, Larry, Chris, a newcomer to the show. I appreciate you. We have a few people that will be joining us here momentarily as well. But I want to say thank you, gentlemen, for keeping us alive. As you know, I've moved states, so it's a little difficult for me to always be here. But I want to say thank you for what you all are doing. Much appreciated. All right. I'm going to kick it over to Iz so we can introduce himself and we can keep going.
Hey everybody, my name is Ismael Santiago, father of six, grandfather of one. I work in retail management.
My name's Eugene Bennett Jr. Everyone calls me Junior. I got three beautiful kids and four beautiful grandkids. And I work at Famous Barbershop, 431 Electric Ave, Lunenburg, Mass.
Junior, everything you said except the name Eugene. I never called you Eugene at all.
Well,
But
don't
you're
don't well don't start.
right. You're right about the beautiful kids and the grandkids and
No,
famous
that's my
Bob. I
listen.
never called you Eugene.
That's my
Never.
that's my
It sounds
dad's
so
name, and I'm never
sophisticated.
I'm never never ashamed of it. You can
It
call me that
does.
if you want.
It does. Eugene with the glasses with a
Yeah,
little bit of
man.
yeah. That sounds legit right there.
All
That's
right. I appreciate it. And thank you, D, for starting this for us a couple years ago. Appreciate it.
No, no problem at all. I think it's a great place for us dads to get together and talk about the things that we're going to be talking about, things that we have talked about. Because what I find through my experience is that we don't do this. When you see guys out in communities, we talk about sports, but very rarely do we talk about fatherhood and our impact inside the house. So
Yep.
these type of conversations, I think, are much needed, and we should do these things more often. Although you guys have been doing it, I'm the person that's kind of struggling along to make it. But again, I appreciate what you guys have been doing. Chris, floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, good evening. My name is Chris Bijou. They call me Dr. Chris or CB.
Dr. Chris.
Dr.
Yes.
Chris, Dr. Chris. I'm currently faculty at Georgetown University and the head of
Coach
organizational
Tom.
development and learning at the Mass Convention Center. Really appreciative to you brothers for inviting me and letting me into this group about fatherhood. As Dr. D mentioned, it is something that is often missing. We don't get the opportunity to just kind of process and dissect our experiences and learn from each other. So I really do value the community because I do think that the aspect and the concept of community, I wouldn't say it's missing, but it's definitely different than the concept of community that I grew up with. And I'm trying to figure out what this new version of community looks like as I'm raising my 5-year-old son.
Doc, I appreciate that. Much appreciated. Thank you for joining us. Last
Sure.
but not least, the owner of Famous Barbershop. Go ahead, Larry.
Yes, sir. My name is Larry, father of two, grandfather of none, owner of Famous Barbershop. Here to kick it with y'all as always.
Hey Larry, we can't
Perfect.
see you, Larry. You able to get into the shot?
Now, y'all not gonna be able to see my beautiful face today, but I'm blessing you with my voice.
No, we need
All
to
right.
see you, man. Don't do that.
Shut your ass up.
Punk ass motherfucker. Let's see you.
Oh man, I forgot. You guys all mentioned, and I didn't say my kids. I got five kids, three boys, two girls. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. But the topic that we decided to talk about tonight was education, and we have a couple different talking points, a couple things we want to kind of get through to people that are going to be viewing this. But the first one is, what's the state of the school system versus when we were growing up? Like, how is it different from our time? And I can only speak for myself here. If I look at my education growing up, it's a lot different. Not only technology is a big driver, but just the social aspect of school is a lot different now. Totally different in terms of, I think, the expectation, what goes on inside the classrooms, how the teachers are supposed to teach, or how they are teaching. It's different. And I find through my own experience, like being a professor now, part of the job of teaching is entertaining kids. To when you're up there to be entertaining so you capture their attention. I don't think I recall that when I was getting educated back in my day. I don't think there was no entertaining. It was strictly this is what it is. All
I mean,
right.
but we probably had like maybe like one teacher or some in each grade. You know what I mean? Where'd you go to middle school?
I went to Memorial Middle School. Shout out to Fran Thomas, who always watches us. Fran Thomas was my principal. Him and I got along very well. In fact, he was one of my first mentors in school. So yes, Memorial Middle School.
So
So look,
that explains a lot, D.
No,
You
don't
mentioned
say that because you went to BF Brown.
I
yes,
did.
that's what I was about to tell you. Listen, big up
Mm,
BF. We had
big up being
we had
Brown.
Dangerous
Mr.
Minds over
Cashman.
at BF.
Listen, Mr. Cashman wasn't our principal. He was a science teacher, eighth grade. We had Mr. Cashman that would, I'm telling you, he walked the hallways like he was Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying? He would woo like he was Ric Flair. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to the point I'm trying to make is that we didn't have like the whole school system trying to entertain us per se, but we did have the one, the twos and fews
Yeah.
teachers that, did that job for us and made school like a fun setting
Hey,
to learn.
when I was at Memorial, we used to refer to BF Brown as Dangerous Minds, the movie. Yeah, we used to be like, don't go with BF Brown. It's kind of like how Fitchburg used to do with Brockton. Don't go, you don't want to go
Yeah.
to Brockton. All right.
So
That was back in the day.
So just to keep us, kind of like on the state of the system then versus now, right? It's funny because earlier today I was talking to a friend of mine and I told her what we were going to be talking about today, and she brings up, and now that she brings this up, I was like, wow, that's really how it was back then. She brought up the fact that back when we were in BF Brown, we didn't even have enough textbooks to take home, where you had to leave your textbooks at the school for them to share with the other students. And if you think about it nowadays, these kids bring home Chromebooks every day from their school that's provided by the school, versus something like, where back when we were in school, we couldn't even have enough textbooks to teach us what we needed to teach in order to pass their curriculum.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that. I remember bringing home textbooks and then covering the textbook. Like that was actual assignment you had to do. Go home, cover your textbook, so you protect the outside of it. You couldn't write in it. I remember, I remember those days. For me, those days spoke to obviously how it used to be done. I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with how it's done now. I'm okay with the taking home of the Chromebook or the technology piece because I'm an advocate. You got to change with the times and people that are in front of you. You got to. And I know Junior's gonna shake his head as he is, right? And that's okay. But Junior, I'm an advocate of you got to change with the times. So although we sat
Absolutely.
here and talked prior to us hitting the record button about the changing, I don't see nothing wrong with the changing of the time as it relates to technology. But go ahead, Junior. I know you're chomping at the bit.
Dying.
Go ahead. Speak on it,
Uh,
Junior.
I don't understand how the curriculum of education has been taken out of the curriculum system or the education system. They've taken so much out to observe the technology that's coming on. Okay, so what I mean by that is, a lot of teachers, I believe, and you're a professor, doctor. Um, Kids don't want to carry around. No, no, no. Honest to God, you're a doctor. I'm not, doctor.
Just the way you said it, Junior. I love it. I love it. I love it. Just the way you said
Um,
it.
Kids don't want to carry around books no more. Kids don't want to cover their books with brown paper bags. Kids don't want to carry backpacks or whatnot, whatever it is.
So,
Kids don't want to learn cursive. Kids
so,
don't want to
so
go to gym. You have so many kids at 11, 12 years old that are failing gym. And I know my
so
wife had, honest to God, real quick. My wife, we went out eating. We just went to a local place and went out eating, and the bartender. We had some conversation. It might have been on the news about uh, boys or little men, and my wife asked me, and excuse me for saying it, when did your balls drop? And I says, no, honest to God, I swear to God, she asked me that today, and we were talking. I says, when I think my balls dropped, I had a coach. a gym teacher in the seventh grade, seventh and eighth grade.
Just stop. Just stop. Just stop right there.
No, 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 no. I'm gonna say this. Let me say this to you.
Larry's thinking somewhere else. Larry's thinking
No, no,
somewhere
no.
else.
When he was introducing us to himself in the seventh
What the
grade,
fuck?
he says, "Yeah, you boys are gonna, your balls are gonna drop. You're gonna get hair on your nuts." And that's how I learned that. How do you teach that to a kid on YouTube?
I
Honest to
don't.
God. And these are the things that I'm talking about teaching our kids, okay? They said, okay, my Coach Morrow, I hope he's still with us. I hadn't seen him since whatever, but he literally came like this and said, your balls are going to
But
drop like
all right, Drew.
this,
Let me just interrupt. I don't think that's a job of a teacher to do that for a student.
He's a gym teacher, so he has to teach you on how to do the physical things about a male body. So none
Nah,
of us
that's
fucking took it.
more that's more for the health teacher.
Well,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it is, okay.
That's
Let's say it's a health teacher. Okay, seventh grade health teacher. Your genitals are gonna drop, and this. Whoever taught us
Yeah.
that. How do
I
you
I don't.
teach? How do you teach your 12-year-old son in 2025 that your balls are gonna drop?
Junior, if that's how that conversation was happening, obviously you went to school at a different time than we were, but I don't think any teacher, whether it was back in our time or in modern times right now, should be talking to any student like that. If that's exactly how it was happening, and maybe you thought it was okay to learn that way, but I think there's a whole much better way and a much better approach to teach kids that, other than how you experienced it. And if that's how you experienced it, I apologize
Well,
to you.
then,
That might
then,
have been
then,
a traumatizing
yeah,
experience.
because
if you're
I
not
agree with
used
you.
to
That's not
that,
the role. That's not that person's role.
no.
That's
But
not the role.
D,
I don't think, and I don't even think it's a. I don't even think it's a health role
but D,
or. Go
understand
ahead.
this though. Understand this. It was by hands and mouth that they taught. Okay. And
Just
I know the
stop.
technology. I do know the technology. Whatever it is, they taught that with the technology.
D,
Whatever he
what
had to
school
do
did
to
you
teach
go
us,
to?
he taught us.
So,
What school did you go to,
So
D?
Junior, I understand what you're saying. Like, instead of relying on a video, it was him, that person saying it, the facial expressions, the mannerisms. I get what you're saying there. I just don't think that's an appropriate way to say
You're
that.
right. You're right.
However, I see what you're saying. Instead of relying on technology, you're relying on that person's experience to talk about that, who has obviously been through it, trying to. I get all of that, but again, that's like, what's wrong with the video replacing that conversation?
Man, come
What's
on.
wrong with a video replace and then you elaborating on that type of conversation, or then take it maybe even a step further. But again, I still think that's the role of parents. Like my son came home right now and said, "Hey, my teacher talked about, grabbing his, again, we're quoting here, grabbing his thing and doing." I'm like, "Listen, that's not the teacher I want you to have, kid. I don't care. I don't care if he's your basketball coach. Those are conversations for us as fathers to have with our children."
So, as a father, how did you tell Dante?
That's a conversation for that's a off the camera conversation, Joey, to be
Did you
honest with
tell him? Did you tell him about it?
that's a conversation for
Okay, so
that's a
point
different
point
conversation.
point exactly, D. Exactly. So back then, it wasn't like my gym teacher said and grabbed his nut. No, he just explained to us what was going to happen to us as we're growing adults. He didn't
So,
So
say
so
he
so
Junior,
grabbed my
so
nuts and this and that. He's
so
explaining
so
to us.
I understand what you're saying, Drew. So let's take that same situation. So, okay, that's how it was back then. But if that happened now, you and I know, everybody here knows, most likely that would be a 51A fouled on the school, and that'd be a problem. What
And
Hey,
what
that's
Junior.
why and that's why I
what?
say technology has took our fatherhood away.
Hey, June. Your gym teacher wasn't giving you physicals, right?
So a technology given out. Listen now, what room as fatherhood do we have left? Got like
The
twenty
only part
percent.
The only part where I disagree with you from the perspective, again, that the conversation absolutely, but I don't think technology is taking our fatherhood away. I think by nature is going to make us a stronger father because we have to be
Yeah.
able
Yeah,
to combat
it's-
all. And again, I'm dealing with that myself, trying to combat all of that stuff, right? So I think it's not going to make us less. I think it's going to make us more. It's going to keep us on our toes a whole lot more.
keep us more what?
Keep us more alert, more aware, more conscious of what our kids are doing,
You
right?
think by listening to a TV show or a
No, no,
YouTube
no, no,
or TikTok or something like
no, no,
that
no,
is
no,
going
no,
to
no,
make
no,
us
no, no,
improve on
no, no,
parents?
no, no, no,
Actually,
no,
yes, I
no,
do.
no.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Chime in,
think it.
So,
Chris.
I
okay,
think it does.
go ahead, Doc.
Um, so I'm sensing several things in what you're saying, Junior, and I will say I disagree with most of it. I get what you're trying to say, but there seems to be a deep resistance to technological advancement. I think you're trying too hard to resist technology than rather than to accept and embrace that technology has always been around in different forms. And in regards to parenting, technology makes parenting easier in many ways. It hasn't taken away fatherhood in my experience. I think it's similar like the conversation earlier. It changes fatherhood. So we can be away and talk to our kids. And before we couldn't do that, like we can physically see them, right? And so there is that sort of presence. It's virtualized, but there is that presence. You don't feel as isolated from your child as before. You can actually experience what other fathers are doing. It's allowing us to do this. Many of us are in different spaces. We can
Hmm.
communicate, we can connect, we can share ideas. Before that, you were limited by who was in close proximity to you. So it does bridge that geographical challenge that we did have. It also makes it brings out like what are other dads doing, right? Like what are other dads doing? So when you said, well, kids don't want to wrap their books in brown paper anymore, why should they? We
Yeah.
had to do that because it was the time that we were growing up in. I don't want my son coming home to wrap his textbook right now because it's neither effective nor efficient. It goes back to the nostalgia that I mentioned earlier. It was part of our childhood. And so we latch onto that because we experienced it. It meant something to us. But they are able to carry hundreds of textbooks in a Chromebook. So what purpose does it make if they come home with four textbooks to wrap them up in paper when they can carry encyclopedia sets? And we carry encyclopedia sets on our little digital phones here, right? And so technology is not something that we should actively resist. I think the question has to change into how can we use technology and technological advancement to
Yeah.
actually support and evolve fatherhood to the next level, right?
So I think
We can't resist it.
so Doc, bring up a good point, and I think that's how like so how do we navigate that as parents? And what I was going to say to Junior was the role of navigating it. And I say where technology is helping because we can see what's going on in other areas, other states, other countries, and then we can bring those conversations back to our families to say, hey, did you see that? That wasn't right. That video is trending. We should talk about that. That's like that's what I'm saying. It's helping. And it's keeping us, it should be keeping us on our toes to be alert to those type of
You're
things.
right. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying, all our kids need books and brown paper bags and all that. I got a quick question for all of you. If any one of your kids got caught stealing that, let's say, market basket, what do you do as a parent?
Beat
I'm
that
disciplining
ass.
my child.
Huh?
I'm disciplining my child.
Yeah.
How?
Well, and see, in my household, I got so this is this is gonna I'm gonna back talk about history. I
Can I
grew up.
interrupt you for 1 second?
Please
Larry,
do.
let me interrupt you one question. Larry, you said beat their ass.
I mean, okay.
All right, go ahead, D.
So my thing is, I grew up getting beat. I grew
Mhm.
up in a very domestic violence situation where unfortunately, my mom's boyfriend turned his anger to me. I was abused as a child. He called it discipline. I call it straight abuse. So I don't want to, and I'm in a situation where when I get angry with my kids, I revert back to drill sergeant because he was also in the military. I revert back to drill sergeant, not hitting. I revert back to like when I say punishment, push ups, sit ups, running is how I discipline my kids now. But I should say prior to, like, I'm going to really talk about my son Dante. It was more about like push-ups, sit-ups, things like that. Now he's older. The discipline is give me your phone. All right. That's the discipline now. So taking away the technology.
Did you
Um,
look up YouTube on how to teach him how to do push-ups?
no, no, I just
You
model
taught
that
him
behavior.
yourself, and you said back in the day that your family was, in the military or whatnot, and you brought that back to him. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this. The technology is unbelievable. It's great. I'm glad it is. But as a father raising our kids, yes, they can put it on 100 books on Chrome or what. Yes, I'm happy for that. My daughter's going to graduate in May. Then she's going to go to law school. Okay. I am so happy
Perfect.
for that.
Perfect. I'm happy too.
Happy for that.
Good. Good.
Happy
Great.
for
Love
that.
it.
But as a
Love it.
dad, in my question again, if any of your kids stole from a store, what would you do?
But the what
So
depends on the why. The the
exactly.
Why
the,
what?
the why did they steal? The
Well, that,
what
that
the
goes back to the parents.
no, it doesn't because look, the reality is your
Ah,
kids, no, it's true. Your kids spend more time outside of the household, right? Their waking hours outside of the household than they do in the household. They spend more time, more wakeable time at school than they do with you. So they're not just getting the lessons from you, they're getting the lessons from others around them, from other kids. And so if my child comes home and he steals, there is a why component. I too, like D, I grew up getting my ass beat. I don't my default sometimes is, hey, I get enraged really quickly. That's my
uh-huh.
default because that's what I experience. But I try not to do that. I mean, I maybe have spanked Jay twice in my life. And even then, I was just like, don't do that again. I would never, ever do to him what was done to me. Right? Why? Why did you go into that store and steal? Did you go in because you were with friends and you felt like you needed to do this to be cool? Did you go in just to steal because of the thrill of it? You just wanted to do it? Did you go in to steal because you were hungry and we didn't have enough food at home? The why matters. I think I personally tend to focus less on the what the thing is than the why that thing happened before I get to the how I'm going to resolve this. If I don't focus on why that person engaged in that behavior, then my resolution is going to be ineffective. I can beat his ass. Sure, that's not going to stop him from stealing again. There are tons of kids getting their ass beat and they're still stealing. There are tons of kids getting their ass beat. They're still gangbanging. There are tons of kids getting their ass beat and they're still reverting to that negative behavior. The why matters. Why are they doing that? What
Doug,
is missing?
you just hit on a good point because I don't ask the why. I immediately get I immediately get upset and I immediately go to the discipline before even asking the why.
Yeah.
And it's because I revert back to how I was growing up, not the physical side, because I don't do that, but it's more of like I just get upset like that just instead of asking the why. So I like that. I really do like that part. I
So
like
yeah,
that.
Chris, I couldn't agree with you more, Chris, because I'm often a why asker. I want to understand the thought process that went into the action, and that helps me understand. And then I also, I don't like to approach how I father and parent my kids from a naive state of mind. I understand what was I doing at that age, and if it's something that I might have done at that age, and how I process and whatever I was going through and thinking at that time, I understand. Hey, well, my son or my daughters, they're getting into this same age point where I was doing such and such. So, and I'll approach it from that point of view as well. And the other thing is it's just to Chris's point, it's extremely important why they did it because it does matter. You can't just treat it with like one solution. There is no one solution for all. You know, even if you think that sounds fair, it's an unfair approach. But I would say let's I think we want to keep the conversation more towards the educational piece of it, and we're kind of like education, like as in the schools, versus the education that we're giving our kids at home, which is also part of that. So I would say let's navigate the conversation back towards that a little bit because obviously like what type of consequences, as far as how do we navigate as parents, occur, as far as what's going on in the school system. Eh,
I think the navigation as parents for me, the way I'm navigating is, and again, I have a habit of reverting back to my son Dante all the time, because girls are easier to an extent for what I see right now. I mean, my oldest daughter's in college right now. She's always doing well. I'm not sure how much she likes the school, but she's doing okay. I mean, academically she's doing great. Socially she's doing okay. But I revert back to my son. I'm navigating, especially freshman year for boys. I'm learning in high school is very pivotal. That freshman year, they can go either way, left or right. And I told myself selfishly that anywhere he goes to school, I want to take some type of active role inside the school. So I teach inside the school, but I'm not teaching from the perspective of trying to watch his every move. I'm teaching so I can be around in the culture, so the teachers know me, I know them, and I can understand, hey, what's going on inside the classroom. Is it always working? No, it's not always working, right? Because his grades could be a little bit better, but that just comes down to focus and whatnot. So I'm navigating his freshman year by being actively involved inside the school system.
yeah,
That's for me, right? That's for me. And then for my youngest son, Donovan, at the school he goes to, me and my wife are on the chat with the teacher from time to time, trying to navigate some things. But anytime there's an event going on, I'm there. I try to be there for these events, and that's how I'm navigating them. Being there, communication is the
yeah.
way that I'm navigating
D, do you raise your sons different than you raise your daughters?
it. As much as I want to say no, I do. I
Why?
do. Because I think my boys would tell you that I'm harder on them versus my girls.
Why is that?
Because life's going to be harder on a man than it is on girls.
You're
Absolutely.
absolutely wrong. You're absolutely 100% wrong.
I
No,
am.
Junior. No,
You're
no,
wrong.
Junior. My
You're
life
wrong.
experiences, my life experiences tells me that when I walk in a room or my boys walk in a room, the world views us differently.
Yeah.
Yes, differently. I understand that one because we're totally different human beings. But now, 2025, a woman can do exactly what a man does.
Can
So
she?
I'm
But I
not
think
going to.
Can she? Think
No, she
about that
can't.
statement, Junior. She cannot.
She
She
cannot.
cannot.
And
No,
I'm
she
all
cannot.
for equality and all that and everything, but I'm just saying there's things that women cannot do that men can do, just like there's things that men can't do that women can do.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I understand 2025, but we are definitely viewed differently, and I agree.
Yeah.
So it's like, especially like
Viewed
to
differently because we're minorities or because we're men.
no, because we're men.
No, no, no. It has nothing to do with the minority thing. I mean, on average, there are different things that men will have a harder time with, and different things women will have a harder time with. But if you're thinking about the things that people are thinking about on a daily basis, economically, women will continue to have a harder time than men. They don't even earn the same pay for doing the same work as men. They haven't even come close. This is the closest they've come in decades, right? They still deal with the issue of violence and safety, right? That is always going to exist for a woman. They won't walk alone. They won't be in certain rooms. And I'm not just talking about physical violence, I'm talking about emotional violence, psychological violence. Then you have the issues of workplace barriers. There are some jobs that they won't get on the sheer basis of being a man. There are those biases that exist, right? So that's heavy. That's heavy on a person. As a man, I do think sometimes that we kind of underestimate the privilege that we have as men. We have an incredible amount of privilege for the sheer fact that we can just be and exist. Now, if you want to add the layer of race to it, that changes the conversation for me in some forms. But even with race, you still have the privilege of your maleness,
Mhm.
right? You will be subjugated because you're gonna be black or Latino or whatever it is, however you identify yourself, but the privilege of being a man doesn't go away. And I think women have those uh, they have those disadvantage It's just, and I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage in that regard, but how I'm just defining it here is life will beat them up that way. They don't just come into the room and they command the space, they command the authority because they're dope and they're great. No, people will look at them and go, you know what? You're not able to lead. I'm not going to take instructions from you. I'm not going to take directions from you. You're not as strong as me. You're not as smart as me. We still have high level academics who tell women that they are intellectually not as smart as men. Like,
So
so
other than you, Chris, have you guys ever taught your daughter how to change a tire?
I teach my nieces that, of course.
No, I'm saying because you have a son.
I
That's the
have a
only
son,
reason
but
why
I
I
have
said that.
nieces, right? I have women
Right,
in my
right, right, right.
family. Yeah,
Has anyone else?
I'm
I,
sure
Your
I've
that
never,
daughter,
that
D, your
so,
daughter in college, if she had a flat tire and pulled over, the first one she's gonna call is you. You know why? Because she wasn't taught how to. And I'm not saying this specifically, D. Please forgive me if
No,
you
no,
think
no,
I am.
no, Junior, absolutely,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
I get
If
you.
she's gonna call daddy and say, Dad, I got a flat tire, and you know what we do? We go and fix the flat tire, like we all would do. But if she was taught how to change a tire, maybe she wouldn't have to call dad. And maybe that's a father thing with the girls. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying women are equal to men, but I think they are. I think they're
You
equal
know,
enough to say, hey, they can't lift a fucking 1,000 pounds or win in a race. You know what I mean? But I do think
but Junior, you also bring up a good point about the differences. And like back in the day, one of the differences that I see in education was like, remember like home ec,
mhm,
and if I'm saying that last word correct, but like cooking, all that stuff. Like there
yeah.
was more life skills classes back in the day that served as, one of the next thing we're going to talk about is homework. That kind of served as homework for kids to know how to do. They have erased that. You don't see that anymore in school. At least
And us
I don't
as
see that anymore.
and us as parents, we don't use the facilities that we had growing up either. Like when I was a kid, 8 years old, I had to go out into the woods and cut down trees to heat the house with my dad and his friend. Now, as far as parents, I'm not lighting no motherfucking stove. I'm turning the heat on and I'm gonna get warm. You know what I mean? But in that same instance, teach them how to turn the heat on. I guarantee you, some of our kids do not know how to turn the heat on in our own houses. Right or wrong?
So, so no, I think you're right about that. So that's the part. So when we talk about the old versus the new, like the old way of teaching versus the new, though some of those things have got left out because of the newer way of teaching. So maybe that is where I think that's where parents stand in the gap to help these kids along, help them to show them these things. So there's less of a gap
Do your kids
because
do
not
laundry?
my son's actually doing laundry right now,
Oh,
right?
all your kids. You got what, five?
I got
uh,
five.
Do
So
they all do laundry?
the
all
older
my
ones, yes,
kids,
the older
Do
ones
they
know how
all
to do
do
it.
do they all do dishes?
No, they don't. Unfortunately, they don't.
Why is
But
that?
but but that's on me. That's
You
on me.
exactly, D.
I
Exactly.
I get it. That's on me. That is
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say. Exactly,
okay.
as just
that's on me.
parents showing our
Well,
kids the educational system or
can I
whatever
ask
it
a
is,
question?
we as parents, as dads, shied away from that.
Hold on 1 second. So D, real quick, who does dishes in your house?
Is you asked that question right as my wife just walked by.
Mm.
Just as my wife just walked by. So I have to say, unfortunately, it just sounds very bad, but my wife does.
Okay, but that's the in your household. That's the role that she has accepted, and unfortunately or fortunately, she understands. She washes dishes, right? At some point, is that gonna pivot over to the children to do?
At some point, yeah, at some point, when that I don't know, but at some point, and
Now,
I'll be the first to admit, I'll be the first to admit, and you guys said this in a conversation earlier today on text message, is that I coddle my kids. I
yeah.
do. My wife and I, we both coddle our kids, and we talk about this all the time. Is that they need to accept some responsibility. Yeah, my
Hmm.
oldest daughter accepted a lot of responsibility, but again, she's at college. My Dante, like this is me being fair as a father to him because he spends a lot of time in sports and school. So I just kind of training. So I let him relax when he's inside the house. His responsibility is taking out the trash. That's what he does. Trash and keeping his room clean. I'm not talking to
Yeah.
him about dishes. I'm not talking to him about chores. None of that type of stuff, other than those two in academics and sports. And then my other kids, I mean my other daughter, the one inside the house there, she's a girl kind of figuring things out herself. So I don't put that on them. As long as they keep their room clean, I don't put it on.
Yeah. So
Now,
D,
now should I? I absolutely should. I know I should, but I don't.
I understand where you're going with that though, because I have a strong belief that we should let our kids be kids. Let them be kids. And although my kids are older now, right? So they do dishes and they had dish days at some point. They do all do their own laundry. Once we had a washer and dryer in the household, they all learned how to do laundry. Um, but I understand where you're coming from because you want your kids to be able to be kids because I believe that if you don't let kids be kids, they're going to grow up and, in some cases crash out as adults, unfortunately. But I completely know where you're going with that and understand where you're coming
Because
from.
is if we talk about again maybe that's our job and I agree with the point that Junior was going to make. It's our we need to be teaching our kids that's the gap. But I also think then that gets into the social aspects of
Yeah.
what our kids have to deal with when they go to school life is different if you are um, life is different if you play sports, if you're high academics. Life is different for those
Hmm.
social aspects. So to be honest with you, and this is probably going to sound bad, I'd rather my kid flourish in academics, if they're in academics or in sports, versus them flourishing and taking out the trash.
I agree. I agree.
Now is
No,
that now
I
Junior's
agree.
probably say Junior's gonna laugh and say,
Oh
"Well,
my
that's ridiculous.
God.
That's
What?
ridiculous."
Listen, well, I'll just say if they're flourishing, so like academically, first of all, I don't ride my kids' backs over their academic. I'm more concerned with how the character is, right? If my son, so my daughters, for example, and this is kind of the junior's point, and something you brought up too. My daughters, I really didn't have to get on them about school; they were on it. I, matter of fact, one of my daughters, she was always constantly doing homework, and I used to tell her to get off her computer because that's all she did. She had like these high level classes in school. She really wanted to do real well in school. She wanted to get A's. And a lot of my daughters did really well in school without me being on their backs. And then that's just not my parenting approach, anyways. Now, my sons, they're getting through school, they're passing. But to me, it doesn't make a difference if they get an A, B, or C, as long as they conduct themselves well and their character and they're coming of and they're of good character. Um, and and right now, like if I meet with my son's teachers, he's my only kid in school right now, in high school at least. Um, the teachers have nothing bad to say about him. They say good things about him. They do mention, hey, well, he does this, and with a little bit more effort, he could have an A or a B or something. But his character wise, how they speak of him, I'm proud of how my son's turning out to be because
So I
and
agree
I'm
with you.
proud of all my kids.
I agree with you 100%. Character wise is on that 100%. Like you got to be that person where you don't want to question if your kid is doing something he should not be doing or they should not be doing. Never want to question that. So I would say 100% I agree with you, character. But I also think it all depends on what lane that you're in. So again, I'm gonna go back to my son Dante. Like, he's in a lane where because of the transfer portal, and if you go and goes to play basketball in college, it's going to be very difficult to get there with the transfer portal and what's going on right now with society. So
Quick
you got to
Hmm.
question.
get, but you got to have A's and B's. You have to,
Quick
right?
question.
To set yourself up, unless you have exceptional talent with some of these people, and we all know stories where
So
back in the day the grades were not A's and B's and they got through, but there's
so
less
why
of
do
that going on now.
why do you think the grades need to be A's and B's?
because in order to get into these top level schools, to get on to get these scholarships, because of the
Okay.
transfer portal, is because of what's going on academically, you have
All
to
right.
have top level grades.
All right. Now I see where you're going with that. I thought you meant because of I just was trying to make sure if you meant that because what they're going to go on to do in life, for example. But I get it. To be accepted into the schools that you're trying to look at, these are the grades that they require to be in there. So yeah, for that purpose, yes, they need to have
It's
A's and
not
B's.
even it's not even like the grades per se. It's you just got to have a certain grade point average. You got to have a certain GPA, which breaks down to the grades. You know, just for any like I don't know if we have any kids that or young adults that are watching and stuff like. It's not like you have to get A's and B's or you're not going to get accepted. I mean, yeah, it breaks down to that, but just because you have to have or you have to acquire a certain GPA number to get into those schools, which over the course of 4 years, yeah, you got to have some pretty good grades.
So, quick question. If any of our kids that are in high school or junior high school or whatnot, or elementary school, if one of our kids comes home with four F's, let's say they're 12 years old, and we ask them why, and then they say, just don't like school. What do we do about that from a parent or a father?
Well, well, 4Fs, that's a whole different approach because
No,
at
it's
that
not.
point,
It's not because it's education. If your son comes home with four F's, that's education. That's got nothing to do
so
with
if,
society.
if if my son comes home with 4Fs, and my point being, it's going to be handled differently because my son comes home right now with C's and B's and sometimes a D. He's passing. This is something he needs to do to get through that part of life,
Okay,
right?
gotcha.
If they come home with 4Fs at 12 years old, that is a big problem, and that's going to be a different type of conversation because you're not
Well,
going to progress at that part of life with Fs, and you
we're
can't
on
obviously.
we're on a fatherhood show. What would you do?
I'm going to have conversation. Honestly, if my son came home with Fs, again, I'm going to ask him why, what's going on in
Okay,
his
and
mind to
he
make
says,
him.
you know what, Dad, I just don't want to go to school no more.
Well, at that point, I got to draw the line in the sand and put my foot down because at 12 years old, you're not going to tell me you can't go to school.
Why is that?
Because you're just not. And we can't
No, but if he,
not
but
everything, not every question needs the answer that society might be looking for. In some cases, it just is what it is.
okay, so let's forget society.
That's a
Okay,
good point, Iz.
let's
That's a
just
good
go
point.
on,
That's a
or
good
D,
point.
or Chris, or Larry. If your kids come home with four F's, let's forget society. Let's talk about fatherhood. What would you honestly do?
I'm going to explain to my kid that if you don't like school and all of that, that's cool, but you're gonna like school. You're gonna get better grades. I'm not looking for A's and B's, but we're not doing no F's. That's what we're not doing. You know what I mean? Like Iz said, I'm gonna draw the line. You know what I mean? Like I've let you coast and let you chill, but
Hmm.
we're not doing F's because that's failing. That's
And
not
then
fair.
and
That's
then
not
next
fair.
semester he does the
That's
same
not.
thing. What do you do?
I mean, then we're gonna have a stern household for him. He's not gonna be in here playing video games and doing all this extra stuff and
So,
playing
real
with.
quick, Junior,
He's not doing none of
Junior,
that.
what
You're
would you
gonna be
do?
reading books. You're gonna be doing a bunch of boring things until you decide to get your grades better so that you can live your regular life with your video games and however you are comfortable. But until then, no, we're not doing Fs. Just we're not doing Fs.
Yeah,
You come next year, it's just that ain't happening.
it's a tricky question that you're asking, like because it's not a point in time type of response, right? I don't know what I would do, but I could tell you definitively that my first question would be to analyze the why is my son failing?
Mm.
Why is my child failing? So is it that you just can't grasp the concepts, right? If they say, look, I tried really hard, I just can't get this concept, I don't understand it. When it comes to the test, I can't pass the test. That elicits a different response. Is it, you know what? I just don't want to do the work. I don't care about it. I hate school. That elicits a different response. Or are you distracted where you really know the work, but you're just focused on your friends right now? That elicits a different response. So I think, again, it goes back to my original point. The what depends on the why. Like, what is the reason? The reason will dictate my behavior and what I do. Because if they give me a reason that is, for example, any of the three that I brought up, I have to approach it differently. If they tell me, look, Dad, I'm trying really, really hard, I just can't get it, I'm not just going to start flipping out on my kid because that's actually going to make it worse and make them hate school more,
Hmm.
right? And so it depends on that situation. Plus, it's also age dependent. If my child is in high school and you're failing, right? I'm going to work with you, as Larry and Is said. I'm going to work with you for as long as I can. But in this household, where your dad has advanced degrees, your mom has advanced degrees, you ain't got no damn choice. So we going to figure
Yep.
it out. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
going to do. If we need to
Mm-hmm.
get you extra help, cool. Those
Yep.
games stop,
Mm-hmm.
extracurriculars stop, going out with
Mm-hmm.
friends stop, because that's what we have to do as parents. At some point, we know what how hard it's going to be out there for them. You know, I when I teach, I tell kids in Massachusetts specifically, I'd love to know what Dee says to the kids out there. I tell them in Mass, they are in the wrong state to play with their education. They are in the worst state to play with their education. You have the most recognizable academic institution, technical institution, hospital system. Like, kids stay here and they build their careers. You have some of the top universities and colleges, not just in the country, in the world. And so if you don't take it seriously here, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. It's not to say you can't be successful, but it does limit your opportunities. Now, if I realize that another reason is, you know what? My son just isn't good for this traditional school environment. As a parent, I need to figure out, do I take my kid out of this learning environment, maybe, and put them in technical vocational school? That may be best for them. Maybe they're really bright, but this doesn't work for them. Do they need a smaller school environment? So that's why I say your question is tricky because it's situation dependent.
It really isn't because listen, as if I'm speaking to my 12-year-old son or daughter, there are no options. There are none. You're not going to tell me something that, oh, you don't want to go to school or I want to play my game or so at 12 or 13 years old. And you're right, Chris, when they go to college, freshman in high school, whatever, they should know the difference. But at a younger age, you cannot just say, hey, yes, I want to know why. But at 12 years old, they're like, you think they're going to concept everything you just said
No,
at
but
12?
in your response, you're saying, "Hey, look, I'm gonna tell my 12 years old, you're not just gonna, hey, you can't fail school." You think
No,
that's
no, no,
going to
no.
fix
Chris, I'm
their,
going back to what you said.
okay,
What you just said, what was
right.
absolutely phenomenal. A 12 or 13 or 11-year old is not going to concept that.
I think my 5-year-old concepts that now.
But
But
you're special.
everybody's
No,
yo,
Not
to
no,
everyone's going to
everybody.
do that.
no. Kids are way smarter than we when we give them. At 10 years old, you
I
can sit
agree.
a kid down and ask, "Hey, what's going on here? Why are you failing this course? Why are
Yeah.
you not doing?" If we can't talk, unless that 12-year-old needs some special assistance in the class, you can have this conversation with any 10 to 12-year-old. Hey, what's going on? What do you need? What supports? What are you struggling with? Where can I help more? What do we need to do to help you bring this grade up? That's a standard conversation that people are having with 10, 12-year-olds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if I can't talk to them at 12, they need a different type of intervention that I can provide. I got to
So
do
our
something else.
the raising of our kids don't stop at 12. And so they fail 4 classes on their first semester and then they do it again. And again, there has to be a point where a dad says, enough of this motherfucking excuse me, enough of this stuff. No, it's either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. There's no in between.
So
There's
Junior,
none. As us dads, there's no in between. There's not saying, hey, wake my kid up in the morning. Ah, you know what, Dad? I don't feel like going to school today. Oh, why? Oh, I just don't feel like going. Oh, okay. Close the door. No. As us being fathers, we're getting that taken away from us. Get your ass up, get dressed, and guess what they do? Go to the teachers. My dad told me to get up and get dressed and go to
I
school.
don't, I think that's an anomaly situation. I don't think that that is
It's
happening.
not,
I
Chris,
don't think
because
that is
we
happening
see
on
it
the
all the
whole.
time.
No,
We see it all the
I,
time.
I, even if I were to
So,
pull up the statistics, I would say that the statistics are not on your side on this one. It's just,
I'm not doing
no,
statistics.
no, 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 no.
I'm doing fatherhood. I'm not doing
So
statistics.
No,
where are we
no,
seeing this all the time
but
then, Junior?
fatherhood matters. All right, so we have one, two, three, four, five other fathers, six of us here, five other fathers. Fellas, if what are you doing? Yeah, seriously. If do you feel like that's being taken away from you and you can't do those things? Because I don't feel that. Do we
oh
need to
no,
talk to our kids
Chris,
differently?
I'm with you. I don't feel like it's getting taken away from me. I don't feel like anything that when it comes to my rights to raise my children, I don't feel like nothing's being taken away from me as it relates to the discipline aspect. If my kid came home with those grades, it's a conversation similar to what you just said. What is going on? Why are you not getting the grades that you should be getting?
Unfucking
And
believable.
I just had this conversation.
So so
I just had this
so
conversation with
so,
with Dante,
so
right? Like,
Junior,
That's
why are you
unfucking
getting these
believable. That's
grades?
unbelievable to me. It really
I,
is.
I,
It's unbelievable
I
to me.
real quick, Junior, I honestly, I think, and unless you've experienced this, I think this group right here that we're talking and trying to educate other fathers, I
Yeah.
don't think our kids are coming home. I've never dealt with any of my, I have six kids. So I have the most kids out of the group. None of my kids have come home with all F's. So I think a lot of that starts at the home, and it really starts at a really young age, setting those rules and setting that foundation of what's allowed and not allowed, setting
Okay.
those
Yeah, but I think that's
expectations.
what D
Because
was getting to. I'd love to hear how that conversation manifested for you, D. Like, how did it go with Dante?
So it was Dante. Why are you getting a C and a D in this class? Why are you not passing your test? What is going on? And the teacher is again working inside the school. The teacher's having a conversation with the teacher, and Dante's falling to the back of the class with the kids in the classroom who are not doing well. So he's socializing more versus paying attention. The teacher called me and said, "Listen, he left his book in my class. He's supposed to take the book home." So that's the reason why he's not getting the grades on top of doing more socializing. So the conversation was, you're not going to sit in the back of the class. You're going to sit more towards the front. You're going to take your book home every day. And then now,
yeah.
because you used to do your homework upstairs in your bedroom, now you're doing your homework at the kitchen table.
Hmm.
And if we have this conversation again, I'm taking your phone away for indefinite. All right.
Jesus
So
Christ.
those are the type of conversations. Those are the type of, has his grades improved? Yes, it's getting better. Is it where it needs to be? No, but it's getting better. So there's progress there.
Right. But it all
There's
started
progress.
with the why is happening, not to like
Correct.
the punitive. You see, in our parenting style, they never asked us why.
Hmm.
True.
There was no why. If I was failing, it was slap across the face, the hairbrush, or the belt, or my uncles came with the hands when my mom really needed to give me a beat down. There was no, hey, what's going on with you? Like, why is this happening? I didn't get asked that question. And if I did, it was rare. Now, I love my mom. She was amazing. But I grew up in that kind of culture. That's just what it was, right? I'm not saying, oh, it was bad, but I can look back at it and go, damn, I wish they would have just asked me why a bit more.
Yeah.
It would have made a difference. But when you say, Junior, like, we're not going to, I don't think anyone is saying they would tolerate it. I hear people saying, I'm not tolerating it. And I have to find an approach that's going to at least solve the problem. Rather, you can still tell a 12-year-old, you have to do it, you have to do it, and they can still revolt. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. You're still going to have to find a solution. You're going to have to get to the why. Either way, whether you get to the why in the beginning, you get to it in the middle, you get to it in the end, you're going to have to get to the why in order to develop an effective solution. The because I said so, unfortunately, just doesn't work anymore. And we got to let that go just because we want to hold on to how we were raised. Do this damn thing because I said you got to do it. but kids are asking inquisitive questions. Why should I do that? They're challenging authority, and we have to assert that authority, but it's okay for them to ask that.
Why are they asking that?
I,
But it's okay for them to ask that. They're kids.
I
Kids ask.
disagree.
That's not a disrespect to the parent.
I
Kids
You're
No,
do.
ask
asking
I
me,
questions.
dis.
you're
I
asking me
disagree with
as a
that.
dad why I can't have my phone.
can I say something?
Chris,
So
Chris,
so
Chris, Chris,
we're
I agree with you. Man, I agree with you. This is going to be interesting, Chris, because I agree with you. It's okay for them to ask the question why. In fact, I think they should be asking
Yes.
the question
Thank
why,
you.
yes, yes.
because
Not all the time.
that's going to
But D, it's
drive
not
us
them.
to answer that.
It's not the kid
So
asking why. It's the parent asking
No,
why.
no,
I
no. I said
understand
in
that's a kid asking why. Why
no, in
is the
this
kid asking why if he comes up with four F's?
no, 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 no. In the situation I gave, I said at some point, right? Just because you tell a kid to do something, like the F situation, and you said, well, you're going to pass these damn classes just because I said so, you're going to take school seriously. You tell them again, you're going to take school seriously. You're going to take school seriously. You're going to pass these classes. That doesn't necessarily change the behavior. That's not how behavior modification works. And so at some point, the kid is going to say, well, why? Why should I care about school? Why do these grades matter? What
Because
are
we're
we going to
teaching them
say?
that. We're teaching them that. We're teaching kids right now. I mean, Larry and I work at a barbershop. We've been working together for almost 25 years. And the thing is now, every parent is saying to us, our kids need to know uh, um, a craft, plumbing, electrical. They're not forcing. They're not even encouraging kids to go to college.
So you're actually proving my point, Junior. That's what I'm saying. We
that's
have
why
to
we need to
find a
ask the why.
different way for kids to learn. They may not be acclimated to the traditional environment, but a vocational
But
school
that's
may
on
work.
us, though, Chris. That's on
No,
us.
it's not on us. It's
You can't do
not.
that on a 12-year-old kid or 18-year-old. You can't do that.
What? How?
You
Why
can't do
can't?
it now, anyways.
No, but this and this is the problem that I see is we have parents now. Look, let's equate it to I used to take all of these calculus courses and everything. And he says
Yep.
like, this is very important for you to learn.
Yep.
You have to learn this class. You have to pass this
I was
class.
not in those classes. I was not in those classes.
No, I got to like maybe Cal one or two, and then I got kicked out, right? Like you have to pass this class. And I used to ask myself, why do I need calculus? Well, because you just need it. When am I going to use calculus ever in life? You're gonna use it, it's important. Why do I need this? So you know what happens when they couldn't answer that why for me and make a clear connection to when in life I'm going to use it? I stopped taking it seriously.
Yep.
We strip the curiosity away from kids when we can't answer basic questions for them. Why is this important for me, Dad? Here, son, here, daughter, here's why this is important. At this point in life, you may need this. At this point in life, you may need that. You can't see it now, but 5 years, 10 years from that.
Mhm.
And we
And
go, just because I
and
said so.
Chris, the I think, man, that just hit me. And man, I love this. Just hit me. The quicker we can make that connection for them, I think the easier their time is going to be with the understanding part.
Agreeable.
The quicker we can
Agreeable.
make that, the quicker we, but again, I go back to, do our kids trust us enough to pick up that piece? All right, to listen, to say, listen, you're going to, even though it's abstract to them, but you're going to need that. Do they trust us enough to say, okay, Dad, I understand what you're saying? Because I would say, I'm going to pick on my son. I don't think he trusted me enough to know that his grades are going to matter in the years to come.
Right.
Uh-huh.
All right, and
There's prob-
this is
how,
where I kicked myself a little bit. Go ahead, Junior.
how many people in the United States? About 400, 500 million?
Almost 400 million.
Okay, so we're talking about five of us that have five different understanding how we're going to raise our kids, or we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page. So out of us five, and let's say 400 million people, it doesn't understand to me. There is no why factor. You know what the why factor in kids is now? Their phone, their laptop. They find more shit about us on social media, technology than we give them. Oh,
Yeah,
Dad, I
again,
didn't know. Oh,
you
Dad, I didn't know you were down at this place. Oh, Dad, I didn't know you were down here. But no, it has to be a point. There has to be a drawing point where that why question is actually asked and answered. Other than, hey, guess what? I seen this over here with my friend, and they said their dad don't have them do this and this and that.
so
There
I
has
would I
to be a
would
point.
I would love to do the social experiment with you because I really do think that you struggle with the technology.
It's
And
not technology,
no
Chris.
no
It's
no no
not
no no no
technology.
no no
There's not
it's
a technology bone in my body as a father to raise my
no,
kids.
but and here's why I say you struggle with it. Jay, my wife and I now, we are we were very strict with how much time he can spend on his tablet. Very
Yep,
strict,
yep,
right? He's a 5-year-old kid. We're not going
yep.
to win that battle. You're just not. So this is what we did. Look, what I started to do sometimes when he's watching his tablet with all these shows, I would split the screen. Half of his screen would be on the show, half of his screen would just be all algorithms. He has no idea what these numbers mean, what these algorithms mean. But I go, this is what's making you able to watch this show. This is the programming behind it. So now I'm allowing him to watch the show, but I'm also conditioning him to understand that there's something happening in the background to make that technology function. What I am doing in that moment is also spurring his curiosity. I'm not resisting technology. He's going to use technology. He's going to have to use technology, and he's going to have to be far better at using it than I or any of you ever were. And if he isn't, we are putting them at a disadvantage. So how do I nurture that? I'm not resisting the technology. I understand that there needs to be limitations to its usage, but I
Okay.
can also do it in a way that helps him too. So when you say I can't use it in fatherhood, but we can use it and we should use it in fatherhood. We have
No,
to use
no,
it in
we should
parenting.
not. We're letting the technology take over our own heart and brain. No
No, I
fucking way.
Those are
disagree.
two
So
different
I
let me
things.
ask you a
Those are
disagree.
question,
those are
Chris. Does
two
your
different things. Those are
no,
two
it's
different
not
things.
two different things. You're
Those are two
making it
different.
seem like it's two different things. I'm not
It,
letting no computer, no phone, no nothing from the outside world convince me
So
that
so
I'm
Junior,
going
so
to look
Junior,
up something to be a better father. No.
so
No, no,
Why
no.
don't
so
we do it with
but no
No,
one,
marriage?
no,
no
no,
one,
no,
no
no,
one
no,
ever
no.
I,
Hold
said
on.
it's
I
that.
not so
didn't.
much
No, no,
about
no,
being
no,
a
no,
better
no. You're
No one ever
father.
conflating
said
what I
that.
said. I didn't say I was using it to make me a better father. I said I am using him to using it to teach him better skills.
Okay, so let
By
me ask you a question. If what does Chris like sports?
yeah,
What is his main sport?
basketball.
Okay, and Dante, basketball. Now, if your son and Dante watch a video on TikTok about dunking and he cannot dunk, what do you do?
What? What does that
Well,
have to do with the
Because
example?
you're referring to technology about what they watch and what they see,
No,
and they
because
can't
what,
do it. And so now,
Junior,
as a parent, we can't teach them that.
we're having two different conversations.
When Chris, we're not.
You're talking about technology replacing fatherhood and parenthood. That's not what I'm talking about at all.
Isn't that
I'm
what
ta-
happened?
no, hold
No,
on.
It's
it's
not
not.
well,
happening,
No,
Hold,
Junior,
hold
Chris.
on.
that's not
That's
happening.
that's
not
not
happening. I'm
that
using it
that.
as a supplement to. Those are two different things. You're talking about it as like this is a Terminator experience and the robots are coming in and we're no
How
longer
what?
going to be needed.
But
Chris, you
technology
said that.
is,
You said that
but
last time
look,
we spoke. You said
But
robots
Junior, but
were going to
Junior
take over the
also,
world. That's
so
exactly what you said last time we was on this conversation.
I
You said
said
something about robots
technology,
taking over the world. I'm not with a robot. I will never be a robot, and I will never teach my
but
kids
Junior,
the essence of life.
but Junior, I think, but so you pose a great question. If your kid came home or our kid came home for us, what we're going to do? And one of the next things that's on the agenda is talking about entrepreneurship and the work nation, the workforce. So
Yep.
let's just say your kid didn't do well academically, and they're junior, senior, whatever it is in high school. If they didn't make it through high school, they drop out, and they go into the workforce. Either way, they're going to be involved in technology. Either
Let's
way.
forget technology, D. Let's just forget technology and all that other shit. As a dad, this is what we're doing. It's called dad fatherhood. It's not called technology fatherhood. It's called dad fatherhood. Dad's doing it. As a dad, let's forget technology. Let's forget the grades. As a a dad. You're obligated to teach your kids as a dad what's right and wrong. It's not technology.
But no
And
one
maybe I
no one has
excuse it for that.
debated that. No one has debated that.
So
But as a dad, it is my responsibility to teach my kids the most effective, the most efficient way of doing things, right? So as a dad, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? Here's a better way of doing something, but I don't want you to learn that because I want you to learn this old way that I've learned. And so now you're not going to be able to compete with your peers.
It's not an old way though, Chris. It's like like today. Hey, guess what? Dinner time. Come and eat. How many of your kids eat at the dinner table? They don't
My
because
kid, my child
as
does.
you have
My,
one kid.
so
but you
Junior,
said how
then
many? I'm just telling you, my child
I
does.
have I
Okay.
have 6 kids, right? Now, until my kids got older and were able to decide I'm not hungry right now, or I have a part-time job, I got the sporting thing, my kids used to eat like clockwork at the same time every time. Breakfast, lunch, snacks. I was a diabetic. I am a diabetic. I had 2 diabetic daughters. We ate together all the time.
You're one out of 400 million.
I am not 1 out of 400 million
No,
because I
we're
highly
not.
doubt that I am alone in this.
We're
Junior.
not.
The
I'm not
reality is,
saying
That
you're
Junior,
alone.
Junior,
Listen, I'm not.
but
Listen, guys.
Junior, the reality is that the conversation is supposed to be about education, right? And technology is a big piece of education, and
Absolutely.
it's going to continue to become more technologically advanced.
Okay.
And that's not going to stop. So we either
Okay.
got to get with the times of the
So
technology, or we're going to get left behind. And then
so
if we don't allow our kids to learn that technology, they're going to get left
okay.
behind.
Fair enough.
so either world they go into, whether they're stellar academically or they go into entrepreneurship, either way, technology is a part of that conversation. But the focus and the mind shift of preparing them for that world, I think, is also very important, because another topic that we have on this as well is urban versus suburban education. Now, those suburban kids are getting technology usage, getting technology understanding, and coming to class talking about it, right? So, if we look at the urban versus suburban, like, sometimes the urban environment is just catching on to some of this technology. And we're seeing studies that's put it there, some of the population is behind because of that,
But D,
of not
that was
effectively
going
using
on
this
in
technology.
that was going on in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. It hasn't changed. I am not going to limit myself from being a dad to learn technology. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, again, I still think it's two different conversations. I
Yeah.
think what you're saying, Junior, is you're not going to limit teaching your kids the values, the morals of being a parent, of being a dad. You're not going to let YouTube or any Google or anything do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all agree here. I don't believe that anyone is saying we will do that or we want to do that. What I'm also hearing us say is we also understand that the environment is changing, the times are changing, the way kids are learning are changing. And
Okay.
as a parent, we can still supplement what we do as parents, as fathers, by leveraging those things. I'm not going to go to YouTube to teach my kid values and how to treat people and should you
That's
be
all I'm
kind.
saying.
No. But
That's
I
all I'm
will
saying.
I will go to YouTube to show them different acts of kindness that people are doing.
Okay.
That's important too. And so that I think both are equally important to this conversation. So when you ask the question, what would I do? That's why I said, well, it's situation dependent. What I would
Okay. So
do,
here's an excellent question that I think. Would you rather your kids do a Zoom class meeting or person to person?
that depends.
Is that question
It
for
doesn't.
all of
It
us?
doesn't.
That
It
depends.
doesn't.
See,
It
It
that's what
really
I don't
doesn't.
get.
But hold on. It doesn't matter what you would rather, because, like everybody's been saying, times are changing. So times are heading that way, regardless
so,
if we would rather it or not. June, if you wanted to homeschool your kids now, we talked about this. You get a computer, your kid gets a computer, and he does his homeschooling virtual. It's no more the parent getting the curriculum. Okay,
Hmm.
now this is what you have to teach your kid.
so
No, the kid is going to virtual school now. So what I'm trying to say is, in the future, most likely it's going to be headed that way,
What if
where kids
Cy?
are just going to virtual school.
What if Cy wanted to build you and your wife a house?
You
And
can
he
learn
knows
that
how
on
to
a
do it.
computer.
And
Are
if he
you
knows how
fucking
to do it,
shitting
he can
me?
build it.
You can
Are
learn that
you
on a
shitting
computer.
me? Is you gonna
Yes,
learn how to build a house on a
yes,
fucking computer?
because
Yeah,
This
because
is
yeah,
what I'm
yeah. They
look,
saying.
they they
before
they
you get
actually
so
are learning how to
angry
do that on a
and
computer.
Listen to what
you
I'm
need the
saying, June.
blueprints of the house first,
But
right?
hold on.
Which happens on computer software. You need CAD 5 or CAD whatever to be able to generate that architectural structure, right? And then after that, you still got to be able to cut these angles right. You just not, it's just not as simple as swinging a hammer. And if you wanted to, technology, a 3D house can be printed for you. You don't even have to lay a finger.
What if they
So it
can't
is,
read the 3D? Is what's the purpose?
But June,
because 3D,
We
you
all
got to be
just
able to
said
read the
probably
3D.
one of our kids in all knows how to change a tire. You want them to
but
build
look,
us a
Yeah, but
house?
but but June, you're moving the goalpost. You see, the
Yeah,
original question was you said,
no,
can they
hold on.
build a house on a computer? They
I'm
can,
gonna
but then you said, can they
absolutely.
read it? It's a different, it's
I'm
you
gonna I'm
go
gonna
So
ahead.
stay
you
with
would
it.
so
I'm gonna
Chris, let
stay
me
with
ask you this
it. June,
question.
hold
If
on.
you and your
Hold on.
wife,
Wait. Back to the house. June. What I'm saying when I'm saying that technology is heading to virtual school, that's with everything. That's with everything. So contractors, all of that shit is going to be you got to take these classes, you could take them online. It's going more into the future that is just going to be more and more common and more in-person training, in-person learning is going to be over with. That's just the
but
way things are going to be.
you guys just said it's not in person. Whether we do it on Zoom or in person, a lot of kids like to do things hands on. They like
Yes,
to
and
build
no, no,
things.
no. Again, not discounting that, but you have to acknowledge the other side. A lot of kids like to do things hands-on, and a lot of kids don't. So when you said, do you want kids to do in-person class or in Zoom? It's situation dependent. I love relationships. I love being in the same physical room as people. But there are others who don't like that. They get very anxious by it, and actually they don't do well in the same physical environment. So in that regard, a virtual class would be better for a kid like that who gets overly anxious around crowds or a kid who's being picked on or bullied. I don't want them in that same physical class. I want them out so learning can be easier and more effective for them. So it's not a one size fits all answer because what you want, like Larry said, it has nothing to do with what we want. It's just where the times are headed. It's a like it or not, it's happening. It's
I don't know.
happening.
I don't know if you read the text before when I says that society is taking fathers away from fatherhood and society has taken that away from us. And I understand that. Yes, it's with the times. Because without the times, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. I agree with the times and the technology and stuff like that. I just do not agree with a father or a mother raising their kids off of that. I just
And
don't.
that's fine. No, no, no. It is fine. And that's your prerogative. You don't
Would
have
you
to
have an
agree.
18-year-old kid build your house?
Let's, June,
Yes.
Yes.
it's
If they
not
have the
a,
skill set,
yeah.
yes.
How do you know?
What
They
do you
got a
mean? How do you know?
resume?
How do you
They
know
don't need a
someone who's
resume.
40 years old has it on their resume can do it just
Yeah.
because they have it on a piece of paper? It doesn't mean anything.
It does.
Well, how?
Because your kid might not go nowhere.
But June, we see this in the workplace every day. People come in on paper, they look great. They say, I can do this, I can do that, and they can't do a damn thing. And someone who comes in without that resume and they excel at it. We have these life examples every single day. We can't find that one example that works only when we want it to. We're seeing this in life. We're seeing the
But
virtual
see,
experience happening every day.
but you're
Kids are in
saying
school virtually every day.
okay, you're saying even if we don't want it to, yes, you do want it to because you're approving whatever it is. All I'm saying is I will never take a computer over a brain and raising my kids. That's
I
it.
don't I don't
So,
think
but
anyone has ever said that here.
Yeah.
so Junior, I think where we're getting lost in the conversation is we're looking at it, or at least I'm looking at it from technology is supplementing my approach to fatherhood. It's not taking over my approach to fatherhood. It's adding to it. I don't see it
Adding
as
to
a
it.
distraction from it.
Adding to it?
Yes, the
Why do you
technology is
add to fatherhood? Please explain
so
that one to me.
so perfect. Give you an example. Again, I'm gonna go back to my son Dante with basketball.
Okay.
He didn't watch Kobe Bryant play basketball.
Okay.
All right. So I'm showing him videos. I have showed him videos of Kobe Bryant's mentality with basketball. To me, those videos are backing up, reiterating my conversation about how hard you got to play when you're out there. All right. Showing him videos of Kevin Garnett, showing him videos of MJ, like right from YouTube.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
me,
yeah.
that's backing up my conversation with him. So I'm looking at that. It's supplementing my style of fatherhood, not taking over. It's supplementing it.
Yeah, and I
It
would.
should not, but D guys, you guys are missing my point. This should not be an option.
Of course it should be.
Why?
Why wouldn't
Because
it be though, Junior?
Was there
right,
an option?
exactly.
Was there an option when you got your kids pregnant, your girl pregnant? There was no
Me too.
option. You went and
Yeah,
did
but
it.
that's a different timeline. That the
Understandably,
technology may have
but
not been
now
there.
you let
Maybe
what D just said. He says we have to add on to fatherhood.
Yeah, we do.
What are you adding
no.
on?
What do you
He
mean?
used
What
it.
aren't we adding on?
He,
You're at wait. All right, Junior. Here's a case in
I
point.
don't get it.
But here's a case in point.
that
Six,
we understand.
six of us right now. Six of us right now are in a virtual space sharing ideas, brainstorming, discussing fatherhood. We're then going to take these ideas that we are communicating about in the virtual space back into our lives, back into our communities. We're going to discuss that. Technology is enhancing who we are, and by enhancing who we are personally, it's enhancing fatherhood. So whether you want to say it is directly enhancing or it is indirectly, it's indisputable. It's reshaping
Because
parenting.
Chris, what you said is one of our talking points as well. Problem solving. This is helping us. Technology is helping us problem solve.
So, all right.
No, it's
Just like
taking over.
when
It's
me,
making it. No, 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 no. It's not taking over. It's making it easier, which I understand. Yes, I love easy things, but I do not like easier things to make us parents. I will not accept that ever,
Again,
ever.
Joan, and that's your prerogative, and that's fine. But it doesn't negate the reality that technology universally is reshaping parenting and it's elevating the parenting experience in some regards. And then there are some aspects of it where we can say, you know what, it's probably taking some things away. But on average, yes, I would say the experience is way more positive than it is negative.
Because
I'm
it's
not going to use technology to teach my kids about morals. I'm not going to use technology to teach my kids about values. I think the primary responsibility of that falls on the parent. But I will use technology so they can see examples of what good values are across the world.
So,
So they
so
can see
June, let me
that.
ask
why? Because they
Right?
don't trust your word. You got to show them
June,
examples because they don't trust your word.
Yeah.
June, let me ask you a question, right? Have you ever had an experience, because your kids are grown now, so I'm sure you have, where you had to second guess yourself? Like, man, am I tripping? Like, am I overreacting? And you had to talk to a friend, brother, or somebody, you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Just to double check and make sure I'm not tripping. You know what I'm
yep,
saying? Have you ever had to do that?
I did.
Okay, so now that technology is in play, a lot of people have the option to go online and literally type up whatever it is they're going
You
through.
fucking
Listen,
kid.
listen to what I'm saying. Because they don't want to experience maybe the embarrassment of them looking like I don't know what I'm doing or I don't know how to parent. So now I could do it from the confidence of my own room, man. What the blah 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 blah. And you can see that, all right, more people are going through this. This is something normal. This is or whatever the case may have it. You might find videos that you don't agree with. You know what I'm saying? But the
So
point I'm making
is
is
that called laziness as a
the
parent
point.
or not?
No, it's just having
Absolutely not.
another. It's just having another outlet. What about the people who don't have somebody to talk to? Now you do. You have millions of people that you could try to talk to, and get some sort of clarity on whatever. You know what I mean? But
Junior,
the point I'm making is that today young parents have another outlet besides going to talk to somebody and maybe feeling like they're going to be judged because they don't know X, Y, and
Okay.
Z.
So let me put something on you.
Junior, I'm confused because in one sense I understand what you're saying, in the other sense I don't. Because
Okay.
let's say you're a professional, you're a barber. Are you not going to use your clippers? It's a tool. And technology is a tool for us to use to make us better. Same
Mhm.
thing as your clippers. They're a
Yep.
tool that you use to make your cuts better.
Yep.
So would you not use it? No, you're gonna
Hey,
use it, obviously.
maybe that was a difficult scenario, but Clip has been around forever, and I understand what you're saying. I really do. Because
But
back then you had to use physical. I 100% understand what you're saying. And like I said, I accept technology at where it is. I left my phone at the shop today. I didn't even bother calling it to see where it was. Larry had to message my wife on Facebook. I don't care. I could care less if I had a phone, and that's
But
just me. That's
Yeah,
just
but
but
me.
and that's the thing,
have
Joan,
you
it's just you. I think a lot of what you're saying is way too personalized.
but
Like that
look,
is how
June,
you feel about it, but when we have to think about the general and what the kids want, how they
But
are
is it
growing
not?
up in societies, it's
Is it not?
different.
Is it not personalized because you said it?
No, I'm
no.
giving you like the average experience. This is not the world according to Chris. I
Says
am
who?
not the only one in the world who feels this way.
And I'm
Technology
not the only one in the world that feels this way either.
No, but when you keep saying and what I have been saying is not I,
Okay.
right? If you want to use the examples that just fit your reality, that is fine. I think every single person here can speak from that. But
No, you're wrong.
no,
It's not. It's just how I feel. I didn't.
it's how you
And
feel.
listen, if
Yeah.
I had a newborn kid tomorrow, I would raise him or her the same way I raised my other kids. And if
no, you wouldn't.
technology were to take over
You
how
you wouldn't. No,
people,
you
You
wouldn't. No, you
wouldn't.
wouldn't. Not from
you're a
you
fucking
wouldn't.
liar.
You
Yes, I
wouldn't.
would.
You
No,
wouldn't.
you wouldn't.
You would not. You
You
because
can't
this
because some of the
you
things are
would
not
not.
around.
That exactly. You would not be able to do it. The things that were around when you were parenting your first child is not the same things that are around right now. Just by
Absolutely.
sheer definition of
All
time
right, look.
processing.
All right, June. Back in the day, right? Back in the day, when was my nephew was born? He was born in the 90s sometime, right? Um, Back in the day, to heat up his bottle, you had to boil the water, put the glass bottle in the water, make sure the milk is right. You got to test the milk, pour the milk, squeeze the milk on your arm, and make sure it's nice and warm and not too hot. Now they have bottle warmers. You know what I'm saying? You put your plastic bottle right there in the bottle warmer, boom, you good. You know what I'm saying? Before that, you had to heat it up in the microwave. You had that option. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to be able to raise your kid the same way as back in the days, oh, just because those things
You
aren't
guys,
around.
all you guys are missing my whole point. You're
We're not
missing
You
my.
missing.
can you can you
We're
can
not
You're
raise
missing your
your
missing my
point,
kid.
whole point.
Junior.
Look at
We
look at you could raise
actually,
your kid. You could raise your kid today old school method up to a certain point, and then you have to get with the times. You
Okay,
have to.
so number
You're
can
not
one,
you guys,
listen,
can you guys hear me?
June. You don't
num-
you don't still you don't still ride a horse in the buggy, do you?
if I had to,
If I had to, my ass. You don't
Can
do
you?
that. You know what I'm saying? You with a nice warm car, chilling, going over bumps like they're not even there. You know what I'm saying? So
you're not understanding what I just said. If I
you have
had
to get
to,
with times,
if
but you
I
June,
don't have.
had to,
But
yes.
our
And
point
you
we are
guys,
saying is,
all
listen,
you
our
guys are
point.
missing my point,
Hold on,
though, L.
but hold on. Our point that we're saying is today you don't have to. The technology is giving options to go. You know what I mean? To search whatever you need other ways.
Okay, so let me ask another question. As us being parents, are we 100% parents or are we 50% parents because we're relying on something else?
Because
So
you have to
Junior,
look
Junior,
something
No,
up
no,
on
no, 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 no,
technology.
no. Answer
Because
me that
listen,
question.
I'm
Are we
going
Junior.
to.
100%
I'm,
parents
I'm
or are we
answering.
50% parents?
I'm answering because you have to look something up online as a parent how to do something.
No, you don't.
It doesn't take away from your parenthood.
Ah, come on,
It
man.
It
doesn't.
don't.
It
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 doesn't.
doesn't.
really don't.
That's almost the equivalent of you saying you have every answer for every question your child brings up.
No, Chris, are you 100% a parent for your kid?
Yes.
100%.
Where does the technology come in to take over your parenthood?
The technology
No.
doesn't take over my
You
parenting.
just said it did.
No, I never
No.
said it
You
did. I
said it
said
made it easier
no,
for
no,
you.
no, no, no. I said it supplements my parenting. I didn't say it takes. Oh,
Why? Why should anything in this world supplement a parent?
because it's there.
It's the
What are you
time. It's
talking
the
about?
it,
Get the fuck out of here with that
It's
shit.
there. Then all right,
Supplement a parent. There's no
but
way I'm going to
all right.
supplement a parent
But
for
then
whatever the
Junior,
fuck they say that is.
it
Get
goes
out
back
of
to it.
here.
Wait, then it goes back to Dee's point. If that's the case,
So,
hold on,
Chris,
hold on.
no, no,
If
no,
that
no. You hold
no,
on. You're
hold on.
not 100% a parent if
If
you're supplying on supplements.
that
It's like
that
lifting weights.
that's not
It's like
true.
lifting
That's
weight.
not
No, no, no,
thousand
true.
no.
percent
It's like
Not
disagree.
lifting weights.
true.
If you're
Then
lifting
you're not a
weights,
barber because you're using the clippers.
if you
You're
lifting
not a
weights,
barber. You are not
if
a
you're
barber because
lifting
you're
weights,
using
my
clippers.
man, if you're lifting weights and you take a supplement to make it easier, how big do you think you are? As a
Very,
parent, and you're
very
listening
good.
to supplements, it takes away from you being a fucking parent.
No, it don't.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
No,
how is that
does.
Junior.
though?
Wait, no, no.
Junior, how is that though? Because you eat
Hold
good
Because
on,
you're
hold on.
food.
That,
relying
all
on
right,
something
listen.
else.
I got a
Speaking of
better
weight,
question. I
I
got a
gotta
better
be up at
question. Hold on.
5:30 in the morning to take Dante
You
to
are
weight.
Me
Right?
too.
relying on
I got to be up
something
at
I gotta,
else
4:30.
other than your own
Hold
parenthood.
on,
I
let's
gotta
start
get
to
it.
wrap this up.
All right, as we come to a close, so education as we know it today obviously has changed, and technology is a big reason why it has changed. So one of the final questions as we start to get into the closing of it is, does that make our job as parents harder or easier for in our approach to this for this conversation, which I believe is number 10 on our list here. I'm going to say technology because it's a big part of the conversation that we had is making my job as a parent easier because of technology.
I didn't know being a parent was a job.
It absolutely is a job.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is a job.
Do you get
It's a
paid?
full time
Do
job.
you get paid for being a parent?
No,
Do you
you
get
Sometimes.
don't.
time? Do you get sick time? Do you get vacation time? No, you
No,
don't. There's
no.
nothing like a job compared to a parent, dear. I'm sorry for yelling, but no
Respond,
fucking,
but
no
Junior,
way.
When
It's
I say it's a
not like a
job,
job.
where I say it's a job is because of the responsibility.
That's not a job. That's what you're supposed to do. You raise your kid. You don't get a cookie for raising your kid. You do it
Okay,
because you're a dad and
although
a
so
mother. You don't do it because you compare it to a job.
okay, I see what you're saying there, Junior. I see what you're saying, but I'm still gonna rely on my word choice. It is a job. Being a
Okay.
father is
Okay.
a job.
All right.
Am I
Well, listen.
collecting a paycheck? No, but
If
it's a
if
lot of
if,
responsibility.
if fatherhood was a job, don't you think all fathers would be millionaires?
No.
Yeah,
Junior, we're not saying it's a job in the
actually, you
fact
know what,
that it
Junior?
pays you.
That's a very good
Matter of
question.
fact,
Yes, I do.
matter of
Yes,
fact,
I
being a
do.
parent is probably one of the hardest jobs because
It's not a
there is no
job,
financial,
though, dude.
but it.
It's not a job.
Okay,
As
so
a parent, as you
Junior,
put your as you conceived a child, did you sign a contract saying, hey, guess what, I'm gonna work as a dad as long as I can to raise this kid? No, you
So
do
no,
it
look.
out of your
Junior,
So look,
instinct
you're
instead
taking
June.
of being as a
you're taking the
dad.
word out of
So
context, Junior.
June.
You're taking
Hold
the
on,
word out of
June.
context.
Check it out. Check it out, June. So at a job, you have duties that you have to fulfill, right? In order to get paid. You have duties at jobs to do. Duties. As a parent, it's your duty, like you said, to raise your kid. It's your duty to teach your kid. It's your duty to do a lot for your kid.
Have you
What is
ever
the
had vacation from raising your kid?
Yeah,
what is the
you're
What?
really
you
taking it too
some
lit.
people
I
do.
mean, the
Some people
absolute
do.
definition of a job is a duty, a specific function,
Yeah,
responsibilities. Parenting is a duty. You have
yeah.
specific functions. You
Okay,
don't have to get paid for it, but
I'll
it's a
agree with
job.
that. It's a
Yeah.
duty. It's a duty. Yes, it's not a job.
But I was giving you the definition of a job, so by definition, it's a job.
So if
Yeah,
I work voluntarily at Red Cross and I'm doing
yes,
my
It's
duties
a
and not
job.
getting
that's your
paid,
job. That's your
it's
It's a
not a
job.
job.
job if you're not
Yes, it
getting
is.
paid.
No,
Yes,
no,
it
You're a
no, no,
is.
no.
volunteer worker.
You
You're a
just said the key.
volunteer worker.
You just said
Oh
the
no,
key thing. You're doing your duties.
listen.
Exactly.
A,
I'll accept duties. I'm not accepting a job.
a
It's
job has
it's
nothing to
the
do with
same
being
thing.
paid. A professional, if you look up the definition of a professional, professionals get paid. Any profession that you work in that you get paid for, you're a professional in that. And you
So
can
I
check
guess I
it.
can call
I
I can call myself a professional dad.
you don't get
Yeah.
paid.
I like that term.
It's your job though, but you are
Junior,
probably a
I like that
professional
term.
dad.
I like
So
that term,
I'm a
professional
professional
dad.
dad and I
I
have
like
a
it.
job to raise my kids, is what you guys are saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Most parents won't disagree.
Okay.
So
So,
to go back to the original conversation, I think technology is making our job
all
as
right,
parents,
Chris.
is supplement our jobs as parents, and to an extent, it's making our job a little bit easier as a parent. Is final point on that one?
Um, I'd say as far as technology goes,
Yeah, as far as technology
um,
goes.
I think it's important. We can't just forget about technology. I'm not saying forget about the past, but technology is going to continue to evolve. The way kids are taught in school is going to continue to evolve, and we need to find a way to keep up with it, or else we're going to get left behind. Um, and it's just what's going to happen. And there's no way we're going to stop evolution, and that's going to continue to happen. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Chris, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, this has been absolutely amazing. It's difficult to separate technology from fatherhood these days, in my opinion, or in any day. I think in any time you look at it, technology has always been around to make life easier and more efficient. And can we get overboard and let it supersede our decisions at some points? Yeah, we can, as things always happen. But technology enhances what we do as parents. It's reshaping the parenting experience, and I think to Izzy's point is we need to continue to lean into it. If we actively resist it, then we are putting our kids at a disadvantage against their peers. While we can hold on to the morals and the values that we grew up with, we don't have to actively resist the ways in which parenting is changing.
Larry, final thoughts on this one?
I agree. I believe, to Junior's point, we can raise our kids to be, the old school way and everything, but that's to a certain point, and we have to get with the times. We gotta, learn to use the technology, because what would happen is our kids will end up knowing more about technology, and we're gonna be completely lost. You know what I mean? And it's the way that the world is going. Technology is about to replace teachers, you know? If we were teachers, it'd be a different discussion because we'd be out of a job soon. But I think that we just got to get with the waves. Not 100%, you know what I mean, if you don't want to, but you're going to be using technology one way or another, you know? We're on a Zoom call right now, so we just gotta get with it. Does it make parenting easier? For a lack of a better term, I wouldn't say easier, but it helps. You know what I mean? It definitely helps.
Junior, final thoughts on this one?
Yeah. First, I apologize for me getting angry and
Don't apologize. It's
using
you.
some
That's
curse
That's it
words
all
and
up.
stuff. It's just who I am. I am not saying go back to the old school of raising parents. I know we need technology. Shit, I just got an iPhone the other day. I have no clue how to use it.
You can YouTube
Okay.
that.
I'm not doing that. I just won't do it. I'm just I'm old school in my own ways, but I'm not saying to
We
raise
know
our
you are.
I'm not saying raise our kids in the old school. What I'm saying is, I will refuse to let technology in my mind to raise my kids as a parent. Whether it's easier or not, or if it helps, it helps. It'll help me because you know what? I have an iPhone now, so I can find out where my daughter is at all times. Okay, that helps. Yes, I agree with everything you guys said, but I refuse to agree that technology is helping us as dads. And and my whole point is they're taking away from us from using our own mind. Forget the old school, forget the new school. It's taken away from using our own mind and how we think, other than a computer or something like that. I take my daughters and I sat them down here a couple of days ago and I talked to them. I didn't use my phone. I didn't use my laptop. I'm saying the technology now is taken away from what we really should be teaching our kids as a dad and a mother. I'm all with technology. Without technology, I probably wouldn't, whatever. I love technology. I really do. But I refuse to let that technology take over as a father.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from multiple different perspectives on technology. We agree to disagree on some of this, but this is what makes this platform special. I appreciate and really love you, brothers. I see you guys again very soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Fatherhood Experience.